What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Jane. You're welcome to a new video. Today I'll be showing us how to sew Victorian corset. I have a pattern drafting of this. If you want to check it out, I'm going to leave it in the link below. Thank you guys for stopping by. If this is something you're interested in, please watch the video to the end, subscribe to the channel, and leave a comment in the comment section. If you're new here, thank you as well for stopping by. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you for coming. I appreciate you. Alright, so I'm going to quickly explain what I have here. This is my pattern. I've placed it on my fabric and I've cut out the fabric and the lining. Okay, so when you draft your pattern, you add your sewing allowances. So if you look closely at the pattern, you see that I have half an inch sewing allowance all around it. So I've placed that pattern on my fabric and the main lining, and then I went ahead to cut it out. I'll also be using an interfacing for it and wording for the breast part. So I'm going to be padding the breast area with a hard breast pad. Okay, so watch to the end and subscribe to the channel. All right, now I'm just going ahead to show you what the wording I will be using looks like. Okay, that is what I'll be using to iron on my fabric. I'm going to be ironing the interfacing on the fabric, and I'm going to be ironing the wording on my breast area. So you can see that I've ironed my interfacing, and also I have padded the center front of my panels. Okay, I've ironed the interfacing on the front and the back, excluding the lining. So I only ironed on the main fabric and not the lining. So you can see towards the breast area, I have padded it also with my hard wording. So right now what I'm going to do is to go ahead and join the front panel and also do the same thing for the back panel. So I'm going to be placing them side by side, right sides facing each other. Okay, so all of the panels that you have, ensure that you place them the right way so that you don't get confused and place the wrong one at the wrong place. So I'm going to be placing them on top of each other, right sides facing each other, side by side. Then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to stitch by half an inch. Okay, I'll do this for all of the pieces that I have for the front and the back. So now that we are done stitching, this is what it looked like, the front and also the inside. I took the liberty of ironing out the seam allowance. It's important so that it relaxes very well inside. And I also went ahead to join the back piece as well, and I have ironed out the seam also. So it's important that as you stitch up, you iron, because these are curved lines. They need to be ironed out and straightened out. And another thing that I did was, after ironing, I went ahead to notch all of my seams so that it could relax properly inside of our garment. Okay, very important. Notching the seam and the curved lines will help the sewing line to relax, and also it will help your fabric to come out way neater than it is. So right here, what I will do is to also repeat the same thing for the lining. So this is the lining. I have done the same thing. I ironed an interfacing on the lining. I also did the same thing for the back. Ironed an interfacing for the back. I stitched them up, and then I also ironed out the seam. Now for the back, because I'll be adding up a modesty panel at the back, I only joined one part of the back. So the other part, you can see that I haven't joined it. That is because I'm going to be attaching a modesty panel onto that before closing that up. Now for the modesty panel, this is what I have. It's very easy. Just mark out the length of your back panel and then just go ahead and cut it out. So that is just basically what the modesty panel should be. So right here is a pattern that I have on the modesty panel that I'll be using for this. So what I will do is to take this pattern, place it on my fabric, and then I'm going to be cutting it out. I'm going to be cutting out 2 pieces of this fabric And you can see on my pattern I have sewing allowances attached all around it, drawn all around it. That is because we need that to be able to sew up the modesty panel. Okay, so now after cutting out, we will now go to the machine and join the sides together. We join the top, and then we leave out an opening so that we can be able to turn it inside out and reveal the good part of the panel. So here is what we have. You can see that one side of the panel is still open. Now we are going to be placing this on our lining. Please remember that your modesty panel is only going to be placed on your lining, so just watch carefully and see the way I'm placing it on my lining. Okay, I place it on my lining. Ensure that it is facing towards the inner part of your fabric, because it needs to be in between your back pattern. I hope you understand. So right now with my lining, I've placed the panel on in between them. Now I'm going to go stitch them up by 1/2 inch. So this way you have a very neat modesty panel, and because this is a lining, when you join the lining and the main fabric, it's going to conceal nicely and it will come out beautiful. So here we are done stitching by 1/2 inch, and this is what we have for the back of our lining. Moving on, next I'm going to be working on the yoke. Now you can decide to add a yoke to yours if you want. I just decided to speed this part up because this is necessary. It's not necessarily what I want to do on this video, but I've decided to cut out yoke for my pattern, and I'm going to be attaching a yoke to my Victorian corset. If you don't want to attach a yoke to your Victorian corset, you can skip that, but I'm going to be attaching a yoke. So right here you see the front and the back part of my yoke. It's already prepared. In another video I'm going to show you how to cut a yoke and how to attach a yoke to your bodies, but for this we are going to be skipping that part. So here you can see the front and the back yoke of my corset is ready. I'm going to be joining them together at the shoulder line and then get them ready for when we are going to be attaching it to our corset. What we are expected to do next is to show you how to sew the boning, but I kind of lost that footage. I'm going to do a separate video on how I attached the boning on this corset. You can see that the boning is on the main fabric. Okay, I sewed the boning on all of my seam allowances that I joined for the pattern, so I'm going to do a separate video on that. Right here also I have attached my yoke as well. Now what we will do is to join the main fabric and the lining together. So you are going to have to pin down all of your sides, and you ensure that you gradually stitch this up. You don't have to rush this part, especially the part where you have the V at the middle of your panel. So right here is what I have. I've sewn the top. Okay, you can see what it looks like. I'm going to just go ahead and open it up. See that I have stitched up the top part of my corset. Okay, like I said, all you need to do is to take it to your sewing machine, and you're going to stitch from the top to the sides, and then you close off the lower, that's the hemline of the corset. Also do the same thing for the other side. So the only thing we're not going to be doing is we're not going to be closing one side of the back. That is how we are going to be able to turn our garment inside out after we have stitched up the lining and the main garment. So please, like I said, bear with me on the boning. I'm going to do a separate video on that. Okay, so after stitching up the top, right here I'm going to go ahead and take this back to my sewing machine, and we are going to stitch the bottom of this corset. That's the hemline of my corset, and we are going to also be stitching the one side of the back, and we're going to be leaving one side open. All right, so after I have stitched it up, this is what I have right here. So I'm going to go ahead and turn it inside out, so I'll reveal what it looks like after we have stitched up all of the sides of the corset. All right, so just gradually go ahead and pull out the fabric from the main lining inside. Also ensure that you do not rip out your yoke. Okay, so right here is what I have. You can see the parts where I used in bringing out the fabric. I'm just going to tuck that in, iron it, and then take it to the sewing machine to close off that edge. And after that is done, we are going to be opening up the eyelet for the back, for where we are going to be lacing up the back. So this is my soldering iron. I'm going to use this. So I've gone ahead to mark out 1 inch spacing for the spacing for the eyelet, and after marking out the spacing, I'm going to use this soldering iron. If you don't have a soldering iron, you can use whatever it is you have to puncture a hole on your fabric. Okay, so I'm going to use this to create a hole. Then I'm going to take this eyelet. This, I bought it at the market. I think it comes together, it's in a set, and this is the machine, the plier that I'm going to be using to squeeze in the eyelet into the holes that I've created on my corset. So that's what I'll do right now. I'm going to go ahead and then insert this little piece of eyelet inside the holes that I've created, and then I'm going to use this to press it down. So this is what I'm going to do for all of the spaces I have at the back of my corset. All right guys, so after doing that, this is what it looks like. You can see how beautiful and clean it is. At this point, you can go ahead and use a bias tape to make your rope. That's to create the rope, the lacing that you're going to use for the corset. And after that, this is what the corset looks like. I'm going to put it on my mannequin so you guys can see what it looks like. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please let me know in the comment section. Subscribe if you're yet to. Leave a comment in the comment section. I hope this video was helpful to you. Thank you for stopping by, and see you in my next one. Stay blessed. Bye.